Hello, everyone. People seem to be in a good mood this evening. Yes, we are. All right, that's good. So I would just like to issue a very warm welcome to everyone who is attending our meeting in person this evening and folks who are attending online. We are going to be honored to have some guests here that we're going to recognize here after a bit. And the first thing for our business meeting is to call to order the City Commission meeting for Monday, November 21st, 2022. And Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Decker.
Present.
Commissioner Hess.
Present.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Present.
Commissioner Juarez.
Present.
Commissioner Pradel.
Present.
Vice Mayor Cooney.
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Here. Thank you very much, Clerk Borling. So we are honored this evening to once again have Bishop Daniel Cunningham here with us to help us get this meeting off on the right note, provide an invocation. And when Pastor Cunningham comes forward, please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Bishop Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. So good to be here. It's an honor, again, to be a part of what we're doing in our community. Father, we thank you for the opportunity and this forum for us to come together to be guided by your principle. We pray for your wisdom and sensitivity upon this group of leaders and the proper direction for our neighborhood, community, and city. Thank you for the courage that this council has in making the right decision for our community. Even when the decision is not the most popular, I pray that the decision is based on moral and biblical principles for our community. I speak equality, equity, and most of all, justice for all that we are, to be a beacon of light in this city. I pray for this 54th City Commission to leave a legacy of being a commission that will be a voice of action to the underserved and will distribute funds not just in the nucleus of Kalamazoo, but in the less popular areas that need the funds. I speak your choicest blessings upon each of them and their family in your Son's name, in Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this is a special night for us here in the chambers, in that it is now on our agenda where we introduce guests, and we have a group of future leaders here with us this evening. And first I want to read some names here, and then I'll ask for some folks to come forward. But young men that are here this evening are from King Westwood and are involved in a Breakfast of Champions program, and that is facilitated by Jim Hess and son Kevin Hess, and supported by the great principal of King Westwood, who is here with us this evening. That's Mr. Dwight Quinn. Honored to have you here, sir. There are some young men who are sitting here in the front row and have come down, really made the decision to come to a city commission meeting. I think that's very important. And I'd just like to read the names of the young men who are involved in this program. If you want to raise your hand when I call your name, that's fine. If you want to remain anonymous, that's fine also. Mr. Guess, Mr. Main, Mr. Solis, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Labar, Mr. Hayner, Mr. Refit, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Neighbors, Mr. Tarnitzer, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Lillard. Welcome to all of you here this evening. Mr. Hess, would you like to come forward?
We had the honor of having His Honor speak at our last meeting. We meet every Wednesday at Kalamazoo College throughout the school year, and we have community leaders and leaders in the region and all sorts of different walks of life to tell these young men what it takes to be a champion. And so we're so honored to be here. And the mayor not only told us what it took to do that, but also how city government works. And he even discussed his enormous paycheck that he gets with it.
Which did seem like a lot, didn't it?
To them, yes.
For
it
fifth
did.
graders, yes.
But I'd like all the group, come on up, guys. Isaac. And we do have a special presentation, but I'll turn it over to Isaac Mitchell.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Isaac Mitchell from King Westwood Elementary, and I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Anderson, for coming to Breakfast of Champions and telling us about the community and just teaching us on how, like, what it takes to be a champion.
Thank you very much.
We got this for you. It's a picture of all of us, and we signed all of our names on it.
That is amazing.
Some of the young men could not make it tonight because this starts the holiday weekend, and we had two of our youngsters were ill as well. So
Let's gather up so we
Yeah.
can have a picture here, and you can pass that to me like this. Somebody on one side, the other, all right? Who's the professional photographer here? Whoop. Here, I'll let you hold this way.
And the mayor also attended King Westwood Elementary himself a couple years ago.
Wow. Beautiful picture. Thank you very much for this. And I want to also recognize the fact that the support team, many parents came down here. This is the team that supports this crew to do great things with their lives every single day. And thank you for making the effort on this cool evening to come out and come to this meeting. So thank you so very much. We will be moving on to our regular agenda. I don't know how long you would like to stay, but you are welcome to leave if you would like. It's up to you. Commissioners, you have in front of you the formal agenda for this evening. Are there any changes you'd like to see? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like an item moved from our consent agenda to the regular agenda? Seeing none, the agenda stands. Next is the opportunity for public comments. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. Communications. Thank you, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. And actually, I have a couple tonight. So.
Well, all right. Usually blow
Yeah.
right through that. All right.
So I would like to provide a brief update on the city attorney search. And on Wednesday, November 9, the ad hoc committee for the city attorney search met with our recruiter, Jeff Mueller from the Michigan Municipal League to review the top 3 candidates. All 3 candidates are highly qualified and practiced in municipal law. A public meet and greet will take place on Wednesday, November 30th from 4 to 6 p.m. in the community room and these chambers. And then interviews will be held the next day, which is Thursday, December 1st, at 9:45 a.m., 11:15 a.m., and 1 p.m. here in the City Commission chambers. And then secondly, while I don't have any specific new information regarding the investigation, that ongoing investigation and report of Chief Coakley, I just want to, again, remind everyone that these are important investigations underway. We want to make sure that everyone involved is treated fairly, and we have a thorough and impartial investigation, and that first and foremost will be important with this. And as soon as we have our findings and things to report, we will share that. So that's it, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Manager Ritzma. All right, now is the opportunity for general public comments. So just a reminder, this is not a time for a back and forth discussion, but is your opportunity to provide public comments here in this public meeting to this commission. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please give us your name and whether you live in the city. And then a further reminder is there's an opportunity to call in with public comments as well. And after we are done with anyone here in the chambers who would like to take advantage of public comment period, we'll look for the phone call comments. Deputy City Manager Chamberlain, can you give us that number right now?
So the number for call-in comments is 888-382-9556.
And now would be a good time to start calling in if you're interested. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Clerk, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, members of the Commission. My name is John Allen. I live at 3412 Brunson Boulevard. There are some of my neighbors and friends here, a couple people. Came with actually very little notice and on the cusp of a big holiday, but I can tell you there are over 50 others who have expressed to me that they agree with the sentiments I'm going to make tonight. It concerns a little postcard I got in the mail last week that talks about the Bronson Boulevard Street Redesign Project. First time you told me about this. It directs me to a couple websites and asks me to take a survey. Says I have about 10 days to do that till November 30th. I did spend a little bit of time looking at it. And what I determined was this. First of all, the postcard says right up front, Bronson Boulevard will be redesigned. That's without any survey, without any public comment, without any input from the residents. And as I say, it takes hours to get through this, but the basic concept is you're going to take 2 miles of Bronson Boulevard, a little bit over 2 miles, change it from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. All of the curbside trees will be removed. The tree canopy will vanish. There is extensive slope damage, particularly north of White's Road. This goes from Kilgore all the way to Peeler, near where the Girl Scout headquarters is. Multiple, of course, white paint lines will run all 2 miles, although they aren't in any of the pictures on the quote survey that we're asked to take. The white stakes referred to in your plan as bump outs are to be planned for every intersection and into the traffic lanes. Those aren't in the survey pictures either, though. There's no curbside parking in most all of the proposals, despite the fact that Bronson Boulevard probably has as much curbside parking in terms of commercial events going on as any place else in the city. I would estimate they run about 10,000 events a year because they're constant every day. We get 500 parking events on Halloween night on Bronson Boulevard. And each one of those parking events most of them are a business. They also average 2+ workers per parking event. That's a lot of businesses and a lot of workers that aren't going to have a. My estimate is that about 1,000 trees will be damaged or destroyed. Substantial smoke, particularly north of White's Road.
Sir, John, just so you know, the 3-minute timer went off. I don't know if you can see it, and I want to make sure that what you are saying, that what you want to express, if you have someone else here that would like to come up, can help you with your comments and finish it?
I have a summary of these, and I'll leave with you. And I'd like to make a proposal. Possibly my greatest concern is the methodology of the survey. It has no validation, it has no authentication. It relies largely on anonymous responses that are not credited to anybody or accounted for. So far, remarkable resemblance from the anonymous responses to those concluding the lack of safety. There's no metrics. Your street policy says you're supposed to be metrics on 18 different topics. There are no metrics at all in the proposal. And for someone, for a group that already concluded across the board on safe, that's simply unfair without looking at the metrics. Even the pictures you look at, the southbound picture has the west on the left, the east on the right. Right. Compass in the middle.
Right. So the 3 minutes are well up. So at this point, you're not being broadcast either, which I think is very important. If you have something, you can leave it with the clerk here. Like I said, if there's someone else that wants to speak to this topic, that would certainly be the time to do it. But at this point, 3 minutes are up. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So, yes, next please, thank you.
Live on 1128 Whole High Drive, just south of White's Road off Bronson Boulevard. I'm here this evening because it concerns me that we're getting something that we neither asked for, don't need, and don't want. We've lived in this neighborhood now for 40 years. We've raised our family. Our grandchildren live basically right around the corner, and they're able to bike ride safely. And I would challenge you, before you move forward with this redesign, I can't think of the term that it's being, the diet, I think it's being called technically. The City Planning Commission just seems to have gone right ahead with this without input from the neighborhood per se. We did attend a meeting at the YMCA. It was very disorganized and it was very hard to talk to the people. And quite frankly, it feels like the sled is in the chute and they're ready to go. Our voices weren't heard. And as Mr. Allen said earlier, we get this postcard saying this is what's going to happen. On a secondary thought along this line, I would like to challenge you to, instead of spending money on bike lanes and curb bumpers and white posts and all that thing, if you wouldn't take your time and go over to Peeler Street, which is like where the Girl Scout building is, and go for a walk. And you're going to walk on a sidewalk on Bronson Boulevard heading south, and you're going to get to Bronson Curve and the sidewalk's going to disappear. The gentleman that gave the devotion tonight talked about leaving your legacy, and if you want to leave a legacy, why don't you finish the sidewalks in the Bronson Boulevard neighborhood and make that your legacy, because if you continue, there's no sidewalk from Bronson Curve to White's Road, so then you go to White's Road, there's no sidewalk on the north side of the road if you wanted to walk to Treat Street with your family, so you've got to cross a rather busy intersection. Then furthermore, if you go south on Bronson and you get down to about Hillendale, the sidewalks mysteriously disappear again. So if you want to leave a legacy, finish the sidewalks that whatever city fathers decided to put in but didn't complete the job. I mean, it's really pretty sad, quite frankly, that my grandchildren ride their bikes down the sidewalk there in Bronson and then dead end. They can't continue. They turn around and come home. So I thank you for your consideration. I hope you will take some of these comments to heart and not go ahead with whatever the redesign proposal is for the Bronson Boulevard Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Good evening, Kyle Kaiser. I live on Bronson Boulevard at 3412. And I think one thing the commission and the city have forgotten is the historical nature of this beautiful road. And we talk about legacies and we talk about the importance of our city. And when you follow that trail, if you look at the historical nature and how that street was built and how the houses were built, there are really great articles out there that support that. So it's not just a matter of what is needed now, it's a matter of how it came to be. And it's also about what happens on that street, especially over the pandemic. We saw people walking their dogs and people doing all types of things. It was a very communal neighborhood. And I think it's an integral part of the city. So to just think that you want to change it because you want to put white spikes up is just, number one, unsightly. Number two, if you look at the snow plows right now on Winchell, they've already destroyed those point go sticks. So it just doesn't feel very well thought out. It doesn't feel like it is honoring our history, and it doesn't feel like it's paying attention to the neighbors there. So I would just really encourage you to really research it better and inform the people that live there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the chambers that would like to speak this evening?
Mike Nave, 4155 Lakeside Drive. I live about a block west of Bronson Boulevard and use it every day for 25 years. And I would echo the sentiments that you've just heard about changing the Bronson Boulevard, especially if it reflects, or if Oakland Drive reflects in any way the way Bronson's going to look. We haven't seen the final plans, but right now there's like 110 street signs in 1 mile stretch on Oakland Drive between Howard and White's Road. And if we're going to take streets down, trees down, we might lose the tree city designation. It might be a sign city designation. It just doesn't look right. And to the point about the snow plowing, there's also the leaf pickup. And if you're not and so just to make it short, I would also object to a change in the boulevard, especially if it looks like the other changes that have been made around the city. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else in the chambers? Yes.
Hi, I promise I'll be quick. I think most of what needs to be said has been said, but I'm Melissa Brown and I live on 4030 Bronson Boulevard. So I agree, we actually just got our postcard about this project on Saturday, or the 19th, was that Saturday, I think? Friday or Saturday, whatever that was. So it was a surprise to us as well, and we've lived for over 20 years on Bronson, first a mile a little bit north, and now at 4030. And although sometimes the speed has been a concern for me, it looks as if the survey shows a few different options for plans, none of which change lanes. I believe that the option is to narrow the lanes, and that will increase the safety for driving, which I'm not a city planner. That doesn't make sense to me. I do see out my home office window that looks at Bronson, many joggers, walkers, dog walkers, and bikers, and I feel that there's so much space on the street that it's safe to do that. My one other thing, I realize the safety of sidewalks, but I would say, but I heard someone talking about legacy. We have a line of trees near the street that my mother-in-law planted that are special to us, and then 2 pine trees that were baby gifts to my 20-year-old daughter and my 18-year-old daughter, and all of those are in the line of where a sidewalk would go. So it's a sentimental thing as well. So yeah, I'd love to see some more meetings and discussions about this before anything decides to go forward. I think that would be important.
Thank you. Anyone, right?
Hi, my name is Mary Kate Norman. I live at 3222 Bronson Boulevard. I just want to echo everything that my neighbors have said, that the plans don't seem well thought out. They don't seem like the neighbors have been informed of the changes, and if it's going to turn into what has happened in the Winchell area, it's going to be an eyesore. So I'd like it to come back under review for more people in the neighborhood to be a part of the decision process. My husband and I just relocated to the area a year ago. And for the street the way it is, for the canopy that we get to walk our kids in, we didn't have that when we were in Battle Creek. It's wonderful to wake up every single morning, whether I'm up at 5 a.m. or 10 and see someone walking outside on the sidewalk, walking their dogs. I also encourage just finishing the sidewalk because if you come and take a walk in our neighborhood, you will see how busy it is. You will see that people do not feel unsafe. So please just reconsider that and take some more time to survey any changes that you're going to make. And please don't put up any white poles because it will destroy the aesthetic of our neighborhood, which brings a lot to our community, like one of my neighbors said when we have events. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the chambers this evening who'd like to make a public comment? Seeing no one, Deputy City Manager Chamberlain, is there anyone who's called in?
We'll go ahead and check. Hi, go ahead. You're with the Kalamazoo City Commission.
Good evening. I'm calling to make a comment about the poles in the street and the green grass. I find that's unnecessary for our resident of Kalamazoo. Yes. If that message can be relayed, totally appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the last caller.
Thank you very much, DCM Chamberlain. Well, I just want to say I want to thank everyone who made the effort to come down here and provide us with your feedback and those who called in this evening. Next on our agenda is our item G, which is our consent agenda. Manager Ritzma.
We have 3 items on the consent agenda this evening. First, the approval of a contract with Morgan Composting for professional compost site removal and maintenance in the amount of $136,500. Next is the approval of a 3-year agreement with Zhang Financial LLC for investment consulting services in the amount of $558,000. And finally, approval of a lease agreement with S&K Properties for 248 North Kalamazoo Mall, which will be used by the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety for the period of December 1, 2022 to November 30, 2025, in the amount of $55,800.
Thank you very much, Manager Ritzma. So, Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 3 and authorize the city manager to sign all related documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hoffman, supported by Commissioner Decker. All right, thank you. Clerk Boiling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Juarez.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooney.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The items on the consent agenda are approved. Reports and legislation. Manager Ritzma.
Yeah, I'd like to ask our Public Services Director, James Baker, to come forward and give an update on leaf pickup / snow removal. This is kind of the wild, wacky weather we've been having. But yeah, Mr. Baker, if you could give an update on that, that would be great.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Mayor. So I just approached the dais and handed out copies of View from the Curb. I'm going to use that as I kind of talk through an update on leaf pickup. So first of all, if you turn to page 4, you'll see a series of polygons representing rough neighborhood areas. Those are actually our zone section maps. They are sometimes larger than a neighborhood, sometimes smaller than a neighborhood. Within that, there's a schedule that kind of outlines where we're supposed to start back on Halloween of October 31st. If you get your phones out or a device that can scan a QR code, there is a QR code on that page. It's roughly right there in the middle of the page. So if you've got a device that can do that, you can scan that QR code and that will show you where our current status is at. And so you see areas that are kind of grayed out. We haven't been there yet. And then if you look at the areas that are kind of like a minty or light green that shows actually like street levels, you see that kind of like a portion of Millwood, North Side, and then some portions of kind of like Southwest and Old Colony. Those actually highlight the street. So if a street is green, that means we've completed pickup in that area. This app is updated every day, so it shows that progress where we're at every day. And so just in summary, you can see that right now we're actively working in Zone 1, Zone 4, and Zone 9. We are then going to move to Zone 3, Zone 6, and Zone 7. And then following that, we're going to move to Zone 5, Zone 2, and Zone 8. And that's all on an interactive map. It kind of, describes that there. We do anticipate that we've got approximately 4 weeks of leaf pickup ahead of us yet. So we will continue to work on this into December and over the next 4-week period as we move through those zones that I described. Certainly, we are behind schedule. There are a number of factors that may have contributed to that, including weather. During this snow event, we had to retool our entire fleet to battle the snow. Our fleet had been tooled for leaf pickup. That means that our trucks were set up to support leaf hauling operations. We've kind of had to stop our progress in leaf pickup, retool the trucks. We upfitted with things like wing blades, salt spreaders, putting those in the trucks and making them ready to go out and fight the snow, which we have been engaged in continuous 12-hour shifts to catch up with that. That being said, we recognize that this may be a challenge for some of our community members, and we're focused to commit this work. We have contracted with an outside contractor to support us in this work, so we're going to have contractual trucking service to come haul basically gravel trains of leaves to support our crews that are going to do this work. So we've got the equipment, we've got the staff, we remain committed, and we're going to work through this from now through the next 4 weeks into December. I'll pause there if there's any questions on tracking progress or our success with the program to date.
Thank you, Director Baker. Appreciate it. Questions? Commissioner Pradel.
Somebody had asked me a question. I didn't know how to answer this, but they were just asking if there would be any possibility each year to rotate where start and finish happens, so that the same areas maybe don't end up the last ones for pickup each year. I didn't know if there was something that we already do, or if it's something that we've ever given any thought to.
I'll take a look at that. I actually I don't know if we've always started in these zones or if we are rotating that around. So that's a great question. I can take back and deliberate through that and bring something forward. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Pradel. Other questions for Director Baker? Just a quick question from me. So when do you think you'll be back on the leaf work?
So, we'll be back focused on the leaf work this week, certainly. We've got a lot of work to do on snow, so we kind of announced Sunday at noon. We made it through all the majors. Today, Monday, we're working on locals, and then once we complete cleanup of locals, we're going to move to city responsibility sidewalks and some of the other kind of new responsibilities that we've been taking on, such as protected bike lanes and some of those other stuff. So I'd like to be optimistic and say by Wednesday, we're going to start back to leaves. But, we want to make sure that we're getting everybody cleared out on local streets and addressing those sidewalk responsibilities that we do have, such as adjacent to city properties and some other areas that, like bridge decks and things like that, that we've got responsibility for.
I appreciate your efforts and the efforts of your team. Please pass that on. I know that it's interesting. There's a lot of concern about leaves, and I hear a lot about that. I don't know if anyone else has, but I'm happy we're going to be able to get back to that. Maybe our biggest ally right now is the weather, because it looks like it's going to be warming up all through the week, so let it melt, right? Yes.
Certainly.
Anything else?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you, Director Baker. Thank you, Manager Ritzman.
Thank
And
you, Your
nothing
Honor.
else,
Thank you,
no
Commissioner.
reports, right? All right. We are now down to the portion of our agenda where we can have commissioner comments. Is there anyone who would like to lead off with any commissioner comments this evening? Yes, Commissioner Morris.
I got a couple things. One, I think the community deserves an apology for my absences. I think when I was viewing the meeting that I missed last, and seeing kind of like the commission take the stance of not excusing my absence, and I got a little in my feelings at first, but I was like, well, you know what? It's important for me to be here. So I just want to first make that statement. My apologies to the community and to my colleagues here. Sometimes when you're going through stuff and you got to figure stuff out, it's difficult. But nevertheless, we're here. So my commitment to this and to do this work has always been my joy. Secondly, I want to just give a shout out to Loaves and Fishes. They gave over 500 turkey baskets away to the community today. Urban Alliance, they served 40 families that were intentionally picked and and did intentional life with, which they received turkey baskets, and then they gave away winter jackets. I want to give a shout out to Centerpoint Church. Every year they give away turkey baskets in the hundreds of baskets. And there's other organizations and other churches and businesses that do that. And I think it's super important to recognize those efforts that have been going on for years. And to see that happening is awesome. Our community taking care of each other. Not just that, there's more we can do. I think about Commissioner Hoffman, every time money's being spent on something, her thoughts of, well, how about the homeless or the unhoused? How about, poverty, or how about all these other things that, our community needs? And I think if we get better at taking care of each other, this would be a greater community. And my hopes to do that during the season, and it shouldn't be just in the times where it's like, oh, Christmas season, holiday season. No, it should be all year round. It should be, and you see that with nonprofits and organizations doing that, and the city trying to do its part in that is super important for us to do that. Knowing what our lane is and just making sure we're partnering with those who have a bigger impact in our community, right? I think about homelessness. People, we got over 24 inches of snow. You think about the homeless populations, the homeless encampments that are in these woods that people are living in. How hard was it for them, right? In those tents. I mean, I have a roof over my head, and I'm very fortunate to have that. But a tent with 24 inches of snow on it, they're not made for that, right? They're just not. And so as we think about, this season, to be thankful and to be giving and to be loving and caring, compassionate, it's very important for us to see those things and do something about it, right? And I just want to, again, challenge the community, because it's not just the city that should be doing things about this. It should be the churches. It should be the businesses. It should be people who have a heartbeat doing something about this. And so I just wanted to extend that.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Juarez. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Let's make any comments this evening. Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that I'm very proud to see the youth that Mr. Hess has been working with as it portrays to government. I did want to kind of throw this out there. I was just attended a conference called the National League of Cities, and that is for anyone that is in municipal government, to be able to go and to listen to your peers, to talk to your peers and see what they also have going on in their city. One thing that came out to me, and I'm glad that the young individuals are here, is they actually have an area for the youth to come. So I kind of want to put this bug in your ear. Maybe you and your organization and what you do can start maybe a fundraiser. So, maybe next year when, hopefully some of my commissioners, partners will also come with me, if they're able to this, to be able to bring some of these youth there, because that was instrumental when you think about them being exposed, the young being exposed to something like that, because they will be the future. I also wanted to respond to just all of the individuals that were talking about the change that's going to be happening on Westnedge Hill. Hopefully, I would like to, Clerk, if we can make sure that Jay Slaby gets a copy of all of these notes that they also have. And what I can also encourage is, I know Westnedge Hill in particular is really looking to gather individuals for their board, for their neighborhood association and for their board. And I also think that's a great way to get involved and also know about more things about what's going on within your neighborhood. So hopefully I'll be able to reach out to some of these individuals and see if they would like to join that board. And then that way they can also have some more of these conversations about what's going to happen on Bronson Boulevard there, because I'm in that area also, and I see the good change that can come from the ideas that Ms. Slaby has put into place or has talked about. And again, this also kind of goes to, what Commissioner Praedel and I have been working on is the communication. Commissioner Praedel and Ms. Lamb talking about the communications within the neighborhoods and the neighborhood associations. And that's why I can't stress how important it is to really get with Ms. Slaby and really start to put together what your neighborhood plans are going to be if you haven't already. And if you have concerns, again, this is just not for the Westnedge Hill, this is for any neighborhood that doesn't have a plan or has concerns, is really reach out to the board if you have one, and really start talking about these things, because again, as Commissioner Wura says, we can't do everything. It's got to be the community kind of coming together to say, tell your neighbor, oh, hey, did you hear about this? Or, did you hear about this? When I saw that survey come out, I made sure to share it with both Westnedge Hill neighborhood associations. So whoever was on there, if that's their means of communications, and they were able to get that information also. I will say I'm glad to be back in Kalamazoo. It took a long time for me to get back home from this conference. But I look forward to speaking with some of our departments via City Manager Ritzma to talk about all the great things that I learned that we could possibly bring forth to the city of Kalamazoo.
Thank you. Thanks for taking that journey and talking to other counterparts around the country. I appreciate that. Who else would like to? Commissioner Praedel? Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I was going to say one of the reasons why I don't wear a mask just because of it, but I will tell you it's nice to have you back, Commissioner Juarez, because I have that mask on and I can't tell you how many times I'm laughing underneath it because some comment you share with me off to the side. So I'm glad to have you here and appreciate you, brother. Wanted to just talk a little bit about the young folks who are here. Just reminded me of, in the particular case of Jim Hess and other people in our community. You don't need a title, you don't need a badge, you don't need wealth to decide, one day that you just want to make a difference in young people's lives. And, in this particular case and in so many cases around our community, there are individuals who, just see a need people who want mentorship and want somebody who provides some positive outlet for young people and just does it. Not because of the notoriety, not because of the attention, not because they're getting any fame or wealth from it, just because they're doing something good for the world and trying to make our community a better place, one kid at a time. And so, Jim, thanks for, the decades and years you've done that, and to everybody else in the community who does it. And just remember, there are so many organizations out there, from Boys and Girls Club to Big Brothers Big Sisters to, some of the different athletic leagues and stuff that we set up, where you have opportunities where you can step forward and make a difference in young people's lives. And so we heard in the committee, the whole meeting earlier, just some of the outcomes. The City Commission devoted a record $2.1 million to youth initiatives this last summer through different initiatives. And we heard that 594 people were served through the PAL programs, including 90 men and families who took part in Midnight League basketball. And then we haven't gotten the report yet formally, but we heard that there were 3,400 youth that were served over the summer because of that impact. That is immeasurable, and if we keep our foot on the gas with that, we are going to see a major difference, because the temperature of how well a community is doing is how well our young people are doing. And so I'm looking forward to looking at more ways that we can support out of school support, one-on-one intervention strategies, and early childhood as well. My oldest boy, Lincoln Roy Pradle, is turning 8 today. And so I promised him, he is watching, and I want to wish my oldest boy, who I'm very proud of, and is probably the most responsible person in our family, in our household, a very happy birthday. And I cannot convey how proud I am of you and what you bring to the world, and I'm excited to see what you will do someday as well. We heard and we voted on the shortest agenda I can remember in 3 years. About one of the things that was on the consent agenda was a downtown substation. There has not been a public safety substation present since June 2017. And for anybody who missed the committee of the whole meeting, the neat thing about that is that substation is going to house our community policing unit and also our social services coordinator. And we also learned tonight that they're hoping to use that space from Chief Boys, and they're hoping to use that space for community meetings and community resolution or solving problems type meetings for the community as well. And so I think it's really exciting to see that come to fruition and happening. And then lastly, I know we're up on the week of Thanksgiving. I'm sure other people will say some things as well, but I particularly really want to thank and recognize the hardworking men and women who are going to be working over the holiday season, who are not going to be able to sit and necessarily enjoy the football game or be there for family dinner because they're serving our community, whether it be through public safety or public services when the water main happens, or being on the ready with snow plows if it should snow. We really want to thank those individuals who are committing themselves to doing this work and serving our community. So with that, thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Pradle. Commissioner Hess?
Yeah, I was going to say that, Chris. Definitely big gratitude in this week of gratitude to public services and public safety, who may not have the choice to take some days off and get some time. So really, really grateful for that, and for, as Director Baker mentioned, turning the leaf operation into a snow operation. That's probably not an easy task, and we certainly appreciate that. I'm also grateful for science. As the liaison to the Environmental Concerns Committee, last week we had a visit from 4 officials from the MDHHS who are doing the study on the north side. That information is forthcoming. They are in the last stages of the study, and depending on the results, enforcement would not come from MDHHS, but would come from EGLE, the Department of Environment, Energy, Great Lakes and Environment. Those 2 E's are energy and environment.
Yes.
So there would be enforcement from EGLE. And next steps then, in terms of what's going on in our community, would probably come from their epidemiologists and their toxicologists, so that they can get us some more answers about what's going on the north side. I'm a member of an interfaith group that meets in Kalamazoo, and what can we do? And one of the first things they said in this newly formed group was, what can we do? And somebody mentioned a Thanksgiving Eve service. that would be really neat. Well, and then within a week, I saw Thanksgiving service for community, November 23rd, Wednesday, November 23rd, 6:30 p.m. at Mount Zion. It is interfaith. It is for all people in our community to come and spend time together and to give thanks. And there will be a message from Pastor Lindsay Bell. So I hope to see you all there. I was really grateful to be able to sit in on a meeting of international visitors from the KwaZulu-Natal province from South Africa. These were elected leaders of their finance committee of their state that came to Kalamazoo to talk to us. And thanks to CFO Vasenzi and to Deputy City Manager Chamberlain for leading that discussion and really both listening to how they do their finances, but to be able to enlighten them how we do ours. They are many more millions than our little 75,000. But it was a wonderful conversation and some wonderful camaraderie from people halfway around the world. And I want to thank everyone that took the time to meet with this group and give them the positive thought about Kalamazoo that they return home with. They'd never seen snow before either, so that was so fun. And then lastly, just a lot of gratitude to the Bachfest and to Cindy Hunter at First Congregational for bringing the Jason Max Ferdinand Singers to Kalamazoo. They're world-class singers, and they both inspired and challenged me and our community, and they spoke to our soul. They really spoke to the soul of the individuals, but also to the soul of this community. They challenged us to be better and to unite. This is in the mission of the program from their concert on Saturday night at First Congregational. We believe in the transformational power of music. It is our hope that you will leave this experience with a greater sense of curiosity, empathy, and optimism. And that was written by Jason Max Ferdinand, the leader of, and the person who put this group together. These are singers from all over the country who again traveled to Kalamazoo on the invitation of our Bach Festival and were blown away by what we do here and our people and the folks who were so hospitable to them. And it is my hope that like a choir, we can work in harmony to heal our own divisions. And I believe that's what Commissioner Juarez was saying, that we really have to work together as a group, as a team, and to be able to heal what ails us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Hess. Vice Mayor Cooney?
Thank you, Mayor. In my class today, I showed a video. It was a TED Talk by a guy named Brian Stevenson. Anybody know who Brian Stevenson is? Right. There's a movie out called Just Mercy, which is about him and his work. He's a black man, he's a lawyer. He works in Alabama. And his main work is around reducing the number of people that end up in the criminal justice system, and especially about ending the death penalty. And it was really an amazing video. You should take a look at it. It's a TED Talk. But some of the things he said in there, he said, I refuse to believe that a person should be defined by the worst thing they do. Even a killer should not be defined by that act. He's much more than that. Every person has dignity. Every person deserves respect. But his main thrust was about identity. Who are we? And he said, we proclaim in this country liberty and justice for all, and we talk about all people being created equal, but we don't act like that. We act like it's okay that there are people who are hungry, that there are people who are homeless, that are young people that are ended up in incarceration and not succeeding. We just go on with our lives, he says. And that made me think a lot. And I think about us here and our special responsibility as people who have some power in this community. What is the most important thing we do? Where are our resources spent? How are we using the resources that we have to affect the people that are most in need in our community? And I just go back to what President Roosevelt said, that the measure of our success will not be whether we give more to those who have already in abundance, but whether we do enough for those who have too little.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right. So I have a few comments this evening. First thing is I would like to recognize a person in the chambers here this evening. Is very special to me. One of my 4 wonderful daughters, Erica, is sitting in the back, who flew in from California to enjoy our wonderful Kalamazoo weather. I'm glad you're here, and it's nice to be able to see you, and thank you for coming to the meeting. There was a holiday parade which was not as well attended as they have been in the past for reasons that don't need to be explained. But a few hardy souls did go down to that parade, and there were participants who came out and participated in the parade itself. But I just want for all of us to recognize that events like that, which, let's face it, we do it for young people, a holiday parade downtown, this is an exciting event, that we have sponsors, people that step forward and sponsor that. And Maple Hills steps forward and sponsors that. It's not any small amount of change. And I want to thank them directly for that effort to do that community work to sponsor that parade. And hopefully it won't be quite so miserable next year. I want to remind folks that we have a lighting ceremony for this park right across the street, another community event that's happening on Friday the 25th. I'm pretty sure all of us will be there, I think, doing the classic traditional read, once again, for young people and people who are young at heart, to get down there, share that space, and have some wonder. And I don't think the weather's going to be nearly as bad as it was for the parade. So looking forward to seeing a big crowd down there. We passed a resolution here, I think was at our last meeting, recognizing the Transgender Day of Remembrance. The proclamation that we passed, that day was actually yesterday, Sunday. And I just wanted to take a moment to reach out. Commissioner Decker, you're talking about meeting with other folks who do this similar work around the country, but reach out to our brothers and sisters in Colorado Springs who now are reeling from a shooting event that happened in a nightclub there. It was a LGBTQIA friendly nightclub. 5 people, I think, have lost their lives and maybe 24 folks injured. And just remind all of us that we are sending our heartfelt condolences and recognition of that event. Also recognizing that we are not a stranger to gun violence here in Kalamazoo. And we did have a young man who lost his life here just in the last few weeks. And even though the stats are better, and we heard about that from the chief at our committee of the whole meeting, stats are stats, still, when one person dies a senseless death, the ripples of that are not easily measurable and go on for years and years and years. So recognizing that sad event here in Kalamazoo. This is a big week, and we've all alluded to it. And I think what all of us care about is giving thanks for what we know we have and for the opportunity to be a more equitable place for people to live. We have that opportunity. And this is a week for thinking about that and remembering that these times that we experience together won't last forever. We have a certain number of times we get together and have a meeting, and those of us up here share this dais and trying to do the good work of the city. And I appreciate that everybody brings a real presence and a real caring to these gatherings so that we can make them be meaningful times that we can look back later on and say, we're thankful that we had an opportunity to do this work, and it has made it a better place for all those who live in Kalamazoo. So thank you, Commission. I appreciate it. City staff, thank you for your good work for years and years and years. I love you, Kalamazoo. We're adjourned.